there, my friends, and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we're taking a look at an 8v8 game that featured everybody's favorite third forgotten about brother. It's, of course, going to be none other than Legion. The Red Armada, or no, pardon me, the Red Legion Commander spawning in front of us, already forgetting about the main purpose of why I even chose this replay. It looked pretty interesting, but certainly the Legion sold me a lot. It's no surprise that I'm a fan of Legion, and every chance I get to see Legion in action, and the more I can showcase it to the community, I feel like the better everybody is off for it. And I gotta admit, I'm just in love with the unit design. I think they look really cool. And if there's one thing that gets me to play an RTS game, it's gotta be the unit design. You know, that's like, going all the way back to like the first RTS that I think I ever played was Command & Conquer Tiberium Wars, I think was the first RTS I ever played. And I still remember my favorite unit in that entire game was the little Skrin destroyer things, the little swarm unit that the Skrin had, because they were so simple and made so much sense that they like just were great against infantry and terrible against everything else, because they're just a swarm of razor blades. Anyway, weird side tangents aside, our red team leader, spawning as a Legion commander here, going to be playing some good old-fashioned Legion bots. It's going to be none other than Slick Like Vic. 41 open skill to boot, and going to be showing us what Legion bots look like in a little bit of a backline position. Star Watcher is the name of the map today, by the way, and Star Watcher is an interesting one because it's got some, well, the lines aren't exactly clearly defined all the time. There's a lot of interesting ways you can play this map, and we'll talk about all that like we usually do in just a second here after we meet our blue team leader, Gaming, spawning in the southern side here, spawning as a blue Cortex commander. Going for some solar panels, then into some wind turbines. Wind is kind of bad on this map. Yeah, not exactly a wind map. It's decent, but I mean, yeah, even for Cortex, it's not really great. For Armada, it's maybe justifiable. For Cortex, it really isn't that spectacular. But I mean, when it is high, it's hard not to justify, but it's just not going to be very high the entire map. Anyway, Gaming going to be playing here as the Cortex commander on the southern side. And I'm pretty happy to see it, actually, because sometimes what we get is these matches where we have, well, it's kind of two types of matches, where the red and blue are up against each other, or where the red and blue are on opposite sides. And typically, the ones where the red and blue are on the opposite sides tend to be a little bit more action-packed, because rather than becoming this, like, long, drawn-out brawl, this standstill, it becomes more of a race to see who can sweep out one or the other side of the map before the other. I think those tend to be some of the most interesting games. We got Lobbers on the field right here for Chilios, the Seafoam Green commander, going to be trying to defend these early blitz raids here with a couple of these Lobbers. Lobbers relatively good against blitzes, but Lobbers really aren't good against anything until you have a bunch of them. And the reason for that is that they're extremely cheap. At only 60 metal a pop, very, very extremely cheap little plasma bot, but it does have tremendous range. And that plasma shot does a decent amount of damage as well. I mean, it's worth noting that, yeah, plasma projectiles can be charged to virtually any degree. They're not really locked in at heavy damage or no damage. Plasma shots, well, well showcased by the Lobbers case here, they can be a variety of different things. And indeed, the Lobbers went for light and swarm rather than heavy and hard hitting, like maces and thugs tend to be. Blitz tank now devastating the base right here, will be eventually reclaimed by the construction turret. Nicely done right there by Chilios. Does manage to clean all that up with the con turret, reclaiming that and sparing the mexes, the wind turbines, all the rest of it very, very nicely. But I love the aggression right here coming out from the red team already, getting onto the other side of the map and trying to do whatever they can. Looks like a construction bot in a plane has been sent across, but the purple units will spy it. Okay. Purple units shutting down the pink units. Pink units trying to kill that construction plane. Not going to be able to, though. The blue commander looking to move forward. Alright, nice. Now, I said we were going to talk about it, so why don't we talk about it? The reason Star Watcher is a bit of an interesting map is because it's imbalanced. It's one of those maps that is intentionally not lined up against the other opponents here. So as you can see, you basically, in most cases, what you're going to have here is two commanders fighting for this southern side versus three commanders. You're going to have, you can see Gaming, who is that? Slim Daddy and Johnny Forbo are typically going to be pushing on this side here for the blue team. So you have 3 versus just 2. Means this side is destined to collapse right here for the red team, and then likewise, but opposite here for the blue team on the northern side. Means you have some really interesting interactions. Neorteron showing a little bit of trouble here. Yeah, down to 22% HP. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's definitely not comfortable. You suddenly can't really be aggressive with that commander on the front line. You're forced to fall back, and now the 4.2 metal extractor goes to VDB. Okay, not bad. What I'm expecting here is a yin-yang match. However, I do know that the replay is quite long. Clocking in at about 40 minutes or so. Hope everybody has their drink and has their snack, because we are here for the long run. It does make me curious how the red team is going to hold that southern side, and how the blue team is going to hold theirs. Already a tremendous advantage looking like right here for the Armada commander on the northern side, pumping out more and more of those pawns and sending them forward, trying to get as much value as possible against the Legion commander on the northern side, who's already lost a lot of units. Yeah. Either has lost or has not produced. I'm not entirely sure. Oh no, we just have a bunch of metal in the bank. Okay, so yeah, about 1,000 metal in the bank right here for the blue commander. Just needs to spend all that metal. Okay, time for a build turret at this point. We have, what was that, about 19 metal per second here? 14 to 19 metal per second. Depends on some reclaim, of course, and all that sort of good stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of money in the bank right here for Neorteron. Neorteron? I don't exactly know how to pronounce it. But yeah, this powder blue commander definitely has a lot of money to spend. It needs to put it into something on the front line. Legion vehicles have a ton of super powerful tools at their disposal. So one of which is the Barrage, which is napalm artillery. Probably Legion's most infamous vehicle. It fires a big burst of napalm, and it can be very difficult for, shall we say, APM disadvantaged commanders. Commanders who lack significant APM can find themselves very hard-pressed to go up against those Legion early barrages, because they do, well, just a gigantic AoE of damage, and the only real way to counter it is to keep your units moving around. And then even then, after more than, well, you know, a couple of them start to come up and running, they really can start to do tons and tons of damage, and there's not even really a way to micro around it, because they can just cover the entire face of the planet that you happen to be fighting on in a bunch of napalm. Red commander moves in. Oh, a nice Deacon right there. Takes out that early tank. Takes out the laboratory. Chila's not paying attention. The Lobber's sitting idly by as the Seafoam green commander loses it all in multiple places, more ways than one, as now a bunch of these goblins. Grunts? Goblins? Fusing the two. That would be dangerous. The goblins run forward right here. We do have reinforcements coming out of the lab. Wow, alright. Kick band for half asleep. Already up and running. What on earth? The maroon commander is... Oh, are we de-gunning our teammates' mexes? Wow, okay, I see. So we're de-gunning our teammates' mexes and capturing them. Interesting. Yeah, that is unironically a bannable defense there, or bannable offense there, half asleep. I'd be very, very careful about doing that sort of thing. You can't convince your teammate politically, you just kind of have to accept the backliner role that they've given you and go for a whole bunch of eco. Very careful about that kind of stuff, guys. You never know when you might end up with your face plastered all over YouTube, showcasing for the lovely folks there at home exactly what kind of moves you're starting to pull. Gotta remember, Beyond a Reason is not a... It's a growing community, but it's not the biggest community out there in the world. You'll start to recognize the same faces here and there. I'd love to see a resbot in order to get these mexes back up and running. Looks like eventually those grunts were cleaned up, killed a whole bunch of metal extractors. Were these never taken? These mexes might not even have ever been taken. But we do need to get those up and running. Legion has the obvious disadvantage in the early game because of the way that their metal extractors work. That they're never going to produce as much metal as the other factions. The other, what are they called? Yeah, factions, I guess. The Legion metal extractors produce slightly less metal, but produce a little bit of energy. It's kind of their bread and butter, their trade-off that they're well known for. Here's some of those Legion vehicles. Some more of those Legion vehicles. The Lance, which is a long-range skirmisher slash anti-air. It fires a big burst of high acceleration energy out towards the enemy there, firing a little rail cannon shot. Does a ton of damage, and more importantly than not, has tons and tons of vision as well. And that's super important because you can combine these with other units to grant a whole bunch of vision. Essentially the same as what a missile truck would do for the other factions, except that, yeah, you're going to only be able to, well, fire one shot every, what is that, maybe 10 seconds or so? Yeah. They don't fire quickly. We need to see a little spready. Nice there from Johnny Forbo. Does get the spread. And if they keep firing away here, I mean, they're going to do tons of damage. There's just no other way about it. The Amputator is quite nice, but it doesn't do a bunch of single target damage like the other Gauss cannons do. Okay, we're going to pull back. I'm a little surprised here. I don't think Numpty really needed to. Dealing with more of the politics in the backline, I think, probably distracted more so than anything else here. Gaming has, in fact, gone ahead and gone for a T2 lab, a very early T2 lab. Well, I guess it's 9 minutes in. We're about ready for that. Commander death. Ah, there it is. The purple commander going down over here, actually. Going to be brought low by the pink and hotter pink forces. managing to bring that commander to its knees. Not before a gigantic battle over here, leaving tons of wreckage right for the reclamation. Nature, that pink commander should definitely be in the right to claim all this metal. Eat it all up. How much metal are we talking about here? Yeah, wow. A commander's worth of metal and then another commander's worth of metal. Brings our total to 2,500 metal total. Very easy way to pay for that T2, that's for sure. Bombers. Okay, I mean, they're sweeping across the T1 forces, just trying to find whatever value they can. No fighter escort here, though. Ooh. Yeah, no fighter escort for these bombers means they will get shot down by these fighter planes pretty quickly here. They managed to find the lab. Hey, all right, I mean, that's not bad. They find the lab. Meanwhile, yellow and blue commanders still trade out over here. Bombers, yeah, eventually shot down. Okay. I mean, that hurts that the lab went down, but fortunately for the powder blue commander, it is lucky that the lab was actually powered by a whole bunch of T1 constructors, so rebuilding won't be the end of the world. A bit of an interesting situation there, but it does end up working out. Amputator here, still firing away into the distance, trying to hit whatever he can, but it's just dumb firing right now, so it's not actually targeting anything specific. And there we go, yeah, lab starts up again. And we will this time build some build power so that hopefully we can start putting that metal out on the field. Salamanders, meanwhile, from Gaming the Gamer, sending those amphibious heat ray tanks around the map, trying to get whatever value that they can. A bit of bait, actually, because this pool is not necessarily amphibious. You can actually get through this with basically any unit. T1 units and above can get through this. It looks like it's a big, deep pool that you need, yeah, amphibious units to actually deal with. It just isn't. Yeah, you can actually walk right on through that. Whole bunch of medium tanks lining up now. Janus missiles, oh, connect against those bunched up units. You really have to spread your units out a lot in order to counteract the Janus missiles. Janus don't have the biggest AoE in the game, but for early game units anyways, they can definitely do a lot of damage. Big old wind turbine farm queued up over here as we get those T2 metal extractors nicely powered out here with a whole bunch of construction turrets that are actually, yeah, working on building a whole bunch of those T2 mexes. I love that. Yeah, not bad at all. We've got some Quaker out as well. Those are very nice. Very cheap way to get into that T2 gameplay. Start tearing down those T1 units and those T1 defenses. Advanced metal extractor does start up right here. And I imagine we're just going to send this thing backwards and build all these mexes as well. We do have a little bit of a queue back here, an ambitious queue. Well, the fusion makes sense, but the APHIS on five con turrets is definitely a little bit, yeah, I guess I'd just say ambitious. We've got some spectators drawing here. We'll auto-clear that so that we don't get interrupted by their artistic skills. An excellent job reclaiming from this wreckage here, though. The yellow commander needs to grab a hold of all this metal right here. The bombers taking out the laboratory have definitely slowed all this down, so the powder blue commander doesn't really have a foot to contest this wreckage. Means that it would be a shame if it went back to the blue team after, well, essentially not being contested. Amputator is finally targeting things, though, so this 1,000 or so metal is technically under siege by the Amputator firing away from the backline over here. But I have a feeling that this is going to all be eaten up quite nicely right now by the yellow construction turrets and construction bot. And there we go. Yeah, about 4,000 metal. All said and done, grand total going back to the yellow commander. Where are we spending it on, actually, is a good question. I guess we're just dumping it into medium tanks. Okay. Sure. There we go. Medium tanks easily overwhelming this front line. A little bit of a stall on the southern side as both commanders basically lost all their army and didn't know what to do in order to get it all back. But finally, it looks like the yellow commander has realized that production is the key. And now there's loads of metal in the bank right now, and we should be starting up. Yeah, we've got T2 mexes started up here, and I wouldn't even mind seeing like a fusion reactor or something really expensive start up with that much reclaim going back into the bank. Anywho, Quakers are the name of the game right now for the blue commander, pushing forward on that northern, no, pardon me, that southern side. Wrinkly Cow, as well as Slick Like Vic, trying to hold this midsection. That Amputator, I mean, doing some work right here. 2 kills to its name. Wow. Hot Pink Commander goes down. Not paying attention to the HP bar, walks forward directly into a Banisher missile and gets a face full of high explosives. Slick Like Vic going to be the next target here. The Amputator actually going to be the first target. Banisher's making very short work of that, though, and now the Red Commander is forced into a retreat. Anti-air truck included here as well. It's nice for dealing with drones and shuriken and all sorts of stuff. But it's also particularly good if you can actually get it underneath this. Hey, yeah, look at that. We got a bulwark up and running as well as one of these rhapsia, the anti-air, the Salvo anti-air missile battery. Yeah, very nice. One of those Legion anti-air towers that they do have access to. It's kind of an interesting one. It's very cool looking. Doesn't do very much damage though, unfortunately. Sometimes being the sharpest pencil means you're the shortest. That's kind of what the Rhapsis feels like. Very, very cool. Doesn't work very well. One of those aesthetic units, you know. Legion doesn't hit the nail on the head every single time, and the Raps is definitely one of the shorter comings of Legion, for sure. But it definitely looks good. Definitely looks very, very good. Okay, well this breaks my heart a little bit. The Yellow Commander just sitting still under an HLT as a whole bunch of units sweep forward and just clear out all this metal of T1 medium tanks. Yikes. You can tell this was the exact moment that the Yellow Commander picked to look back at the base and do a little bit of macro. And the blue team noticed. They dove in on all those medium tanks using these heat ray tanks, these early high damage output units to blast apart those medium tanks. And yeah, just like that, Blue Commander inherits that metal almost directly back into the economy here. It really can flip sides just as easily as that. Another one of these amphitheaters goes down. You know, I like these things because they're so cheap on the front line, but to lose them so quickly as well suddenly means the value is gone almost immediately. Lightning tank trying its best, but against those heavy tanks, there's not a lot the Lightning can do. Not until you get a whole bunch of them anyways, and you start to get that surround bonus, and you start to do a bunch of other nasty things. A couple of medium transports out now. Curious to see what we're going to be lifting up with these. We've got rocket bots firing at medium transports, okay. Tell me why it works so well. That is bizarre. Oh, missed that one. Really, really strange that those rockets were so accurate against those medium transports, but you know what? I don't even mind it. They're technically heavy transports, actually. Okay. The red team definitely suffering from a lack of aggression, for sure. We've got Maroon forces moving out to the front line. We've got loads and loads of Decurion, the armored assault tank. They have a big old 50 caliber machine gun strapped on top of their heads, virtually worthless in a fight. They do the tiniest amount of damage possible for a significant cost. However, they have tons of HP, and that's really their saving grace here. Tiger tanks blasting apart this front line here, though, and Legion is definitely... The Legion commander, Ebenature, is definitely starting to lose some faith in those T1 units. These drones are quite nice when they're not getting shot down. Banishers specifically good at shooting down frontline anti-air units, or frontline air units, rather. And medium tanks, pardon me, heavy tanks have absolutely no answer. This is one of those plays that you look at, and there's really not a great answer here. We have an Armada commander in this guy, so Shuriken are out of the question. We have a T2 vehicle lab up and running, and we do have a single Starlight out. That's not really going to be enough. Yeah. Heavy tanks find the Starlight. And we're done. Whoa, pardon me. Misclicked on the map right there, but the, yeah, heavy tanks are going to be easily tearing apart the base right here of Wrinkly Cow. Wrinkly Cow doesn't really have a way to stop any of this. Teammates are going into their aphesis. We got a nuclear bomber on the queue. 2 air labs and a nuclear bomber right here for the brown commander. The pink base is in shambles. Wind turbines have fallen. T1 Banshee gunships are in the air, firing away their little plasma shots. Pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew, pew. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Oh, there we go. Okay, we got some air support. One of the most dangerous close air forces to deal with here. Cacophony firing away as well. It's quite nice. Ooh, make me so nervous. Wow, I can't believe that. Can't believe that Phoenix didn't accidentally laser apart this base right here. Very, very close call. Fighters for the Green Commander swooping in right here. The Cacophony is trying to blast them apart with their machine guns. Their Cacophonies are kind of they're a decent solution to a very dangerous problem, right? The fighters can be really menacing to go up against. The Cacophony can sort of kill them, but not very well. They're definitely the precursor to an actual anti-air defense. Banisher turret doing a great job over here, though. This is a total win for the blue team. The eco is all in favor of red, but this looks like a total win for the blue team. They've got their T2Xs up and running. We're scaling the eco here. We've got an anti-nuke coming up and running. That's good to remember. Always important to remember. Hashtag remember the stream sniping accusations of 2025. Where on earth are we going with this? Because this is definitely... Ooh, that's a lot of medium tanks, too. Oh, man, VDB was doing so good in the early game, but I think after losing that big bundle of medium tanks right here, it gave another foot for both the powder blue and blue commander, the green commander, to stand on. We really lost the focus. The medium tanks were not the end-all be-all. They were the way that we were going to steamroll this T1 defense and transition into T2, but the transition into T2 just never happened. We got the T2 mechs up and running, which is great, of course. I mean, it means we're going to have enough metal to just continuously produce medium tanks. But answers to medium tanks come out of the T2 laboratories, and we are headed into that T2 mid-game eventually. It only partially happens to be working right now because, of course, the green and powder blue commanders have both not gone into T2, meaning these medium tanks are still somehow finding some value. Alright. A weird disjointed T1 battle on the northern side and a T2 battle everywhere else on the map. Indeed, the fusions are coming up. Hey, I mean, not bad. APHIS construction squad has been built right here and is going to start putting together a whole bunch of those APHISes. Looks like we've gone for 18 construction turrets total, and it seems to be working out splendidly. That seems like a really magic number so that we're not wasting all the metal right here building this APHIS, but also putting a decent amount of money towards it every second so that it will come up, you know, eventually. Half asleep here. Losing force. Banisher is... Oh, that LLT absorbed the shot that LHT, actually, or what is it? Yeah, LHRT. Oh, boom goes the Maroon Commander. The very last shot right there from the blue heavy tank does manage to kill that. Just in the nick of time, just barely manages to kill that commander right there. Blowing up the commander is huge on the southern side. It might not seem like a lot, but that's both commanders down. Means, of course, that no D-guns are available over here. It means you're all in the clear to start rushing out those early spammy T3. For Legion, it looks like, what are they called? Phalanx? No. Javelin, that's right. They are a amphibious raider bot similar to the Marauder, except that they bear 2 twin Gatling cannons, dishing out a gigantic amount of damage per second. And they're relatively quick. I don't think they're as quick as Marauder, but they are very, very quick. A super effective siege unit. Pardon me, not a siege unit. A surprise unit. A assault unit. I hope we get to see a couple in this game. It would definitely be cool. T2 Advanced Legion Bot Lab is coming up and running right here. Surprised with how slow this is actually going right here. It looks like neither the green or powder blue commander have still gone into T2, despite how much metal we've reclaimed from this front line. I guess we're just going to keep pushing. Bastion is going to have a field day with these, though. The Bastion energy weapon defense has tons of AoE, and it fires this very consistent beam out into the distance. Ooh, yeah, those Decurions don't really stand a chance. Not to mention the Bombardier grenade launcher defenses, which also do a decent amount of damage. Basically, if you're going to go for AoE against Legion, you're not going to get very far. That's my message for you. Okay, blue team taking their foot off the gas here. Noticeably taking their foot off the gas right now. Building a bunch of static defenses all over the place rather than going for a whole bunch of aggression. The red commanders are pulling their way back into this here. I mean, it's slow and steady based on the reclaim almost entirely. But you know what? That metal income is starting to grow here. Look at this economy. Oh my goodness. The red commander has just been given the go-ahead to eco as greedily as possible, and this is where we get. Just going for APHIS after APHIS, E-converter after E-converter, building as much economy as quickly as possible. Oh, here comes a wave of fighters. Oh, this is nice. Super annoying to deal with if they're microed. If they're microed. Oh, bombers. Where are we going? Oh, no. Oh, no, bombers. Oh, no. Bombers taking out the T2 laboratory. There was build towers, E-converters, all sorts of targets. And those bombers just couldn't find them. Luckily, the anti-air defenses are in place now as well. Looks like the Bastion will start to find its value here too. Blasting away those Decurion tanks. Striders sprinting across the battlefield here. Strider is one of those examples of where... Oh my goodness, I'm sorry about that. I keep accidentally clicking the map. Strider is one of those units where Legion didn't try very hard and absolutely cooked with the unit. Twin rotary Gatling cannon strapped onto the meatball frame of a Centurion and equipped with a miniaturized version of the Marauder's legs. Gives you a very fast, a very dangerous, a very high damage, and a very mass-producible unit capable of downright obliterating bases in a mere moment. A mere fraction of moments. A mere matter of moments. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Very late at night I'm recording this. Realized hadn't recorded for today. Needed to get something out there, and I found this match, and I thought, well, you know what? I think we should take a little look at some Legion gaming. If you'd like to play Legion, by the way, and you're having a hard time finding a lobby, I know it can be rare to find a Legion lobby up and running. Feel free to tune into the live streams, which happen every single Saturday, 12 to 4 consistently, sometimes 8 to 4, depending on if there's a tournament and what other events there are. We do usually play with Legion. It's rarer nowadays that we play without Legion than with Legion. It's a lot of fun, and it's definitely a great opportunity if you're looking to give Legion a try and you don't really know how otherwise to, because, you know, most times the lobbies aren't paying attention. Ooh, the friendly fire is brutal. Love these things right here, though. The Medusa heavy long-range salvo burst rocket tanks. They got a little bit of a reskin recently, and, you know, I'm a little bit torn, actually. I like the old skin. I like the way that it looked all... It almost looked like a mobile command bunker. Like, it almost looked like an emplacement more than a unit. Maybe that'd be a cool Legion T2 static defense. It's a missile emplacement, like basically a Medusa, but you put it on the ground and it just fires a salvo of rockets. That'd be pretty neat. LRPC firing away right here. That is the Olympus firing away with a barrage of long-range plasma devastation. Long-range cluster plasma cannon fires a 3-round burst. Actually, let's take a look right here. Oh yeah. That thing is so cool. I really do love this. Chilio's way out in the middle of the map. Okay. Out in the middle of the map without any energy. What on earth are we doing here? I'm stunned into silence about how these medium tanks have managed to find value this late into the game. Tritons finding their way across the map here as well. Tritons have a duo of weaponry here. They have a light machine gun mounted on top of their heads. They also have a, what is it called? Gauss cannon. Yeah, fires a little Gauss projectile, similar to like a pincer or something like that, although it does have a little bit of impulse to it, I believe, as well as a little bit of, oh no AoE, so just a little bit of impulse, I believe. It's pretty decent, actually. These are kind of the medium tank of the, or maybe, yeah, more like the heavy tank, really. Heavy convertible tank slash boat, yeah. They fill an interesting role in the Legion ecosystem, but one of the biggest drawbacks to them is that you can't make them on maps without water. It's sort of a limitation with the way that boats are handled in this game, but it is a bummer for sure, because not having access to one of your units that is realistically quite useful on land and sea, just because there's no water on your map. You know, you're playing All That Glitters or something like that, and all of a sudden you can't access half your unit because, or, you know, the unit that you want to access anyway, because, you know, there's no water on All That Glitters. Yeah, it can be a little bit strange for sure. Heavy bombers moving in. Gaming sending a whole bunch of these good old-fashioned, called Hailstorm heavy strategic bombers. Ooh, doesn't know that there's nothing up there. There's that rhapsia again, firing away. So cool looking. Does not do much. Bombs away. Wow, T2 Lab just barely stays alive right here. Blue Commander doesn't have the bombs recharged to bomb down the LRPC. Bombers head towards the base of the Ground Commander, going into air right there, and does manage to kill it. Loads of anti-air available. My goodness. Look at this eco-scaling right here. Alright, well, the red team has been allowed to eco-scale beyond their wildest dreams at this point. T1 cons going down all over the place here as the blue fighters do move forward, trying to snipe as many of them as possible. The blue team with nowhere near the bizarrely efficient eco-scaling that we've got going on the other side of the map. We do have the blue commander trying, though. Johnny Forbo is trying to keep up with that eco-scaling, going into the T2 lab as well to try and get some units to actually do damage on the other side of the map. But my goodness, we've just been left to run. These Aphises are also a little more powerful, too. They produce 3,300 energy rather than just the regular 3,000 that you get of a Armada or a Cortex fusion reactor. It's quite nice. It means you get a little more energy density crammed into this ridiculous mess of fusions all over the place. T1 spam, and we're just sending goblins. A good opportunity, I think, to go ahead and speed the game up, as the blue team has been standing idly by. Yeah. You can watch the T1 forces building up right here for both of these commanders. The thing is, Chelios is spending all of their economy building all these T1 units. The Red Commander is spending the runoff of their economy producing all these T1 units. So it's a big difference, right? I mean, there's without the gigantic eco behind it, this really becomes a much more disposable force versus the one over here for the Seafoam Green Commander is definitely a one and done kind of a force, not necessarily the kind that you can afford to lose all the time. The swarm of goblins, though, my goodness. Those LRPCs firing away do a decent amount of damage. This is actually a great target for them. We have one of those Astraeus, by the way. Long-range plasma cannon unit fires a huge barrage of cluster artillery out well into the distance. Incinerators moving forward. Incinerators in groups is always a suspect plan. A couple of Praetorian are up and running on the southern side. Praetorian getting themselves a little bit of a reskin recently. They kind of, yeah, I don't know. They look very fancy now. They've got their little anti-air cannon. They've got their little napalm launcher, their missiles, their riot cannons. They've got all sorts of artillery crammed into their shoulder packs. And they are headed towards a decent little fortified position over here. Well, nice job, though, with these early wheelies. Sending these forward so that they waste their missiles is very, very nice. Yeah, Praetorians thinking better of it. I think Praetorians could easily win this fight right here, but it would definitely cost at least 2 of them. Incinerators. Incinerating. I mean, doing what they are told to do. And all that T1 has evaporated. Under the heat of several incinerators, all of the T1 has gone to sleep. Look at those LRPCs firing away as well. Those Astraeus are so deadly. They're the pinnacle of damage over time kind of a unit because despite their doing a big burst of damage, they will continuously fire virtually no matter what. As long as you've got them anywhere near the front line, they're going to find a target. They're going to fire away. They're going to do a huge sum of damage. And they're going to rack up kills like it's nobody's business. Yep, you can see. And it's not like they don't do a lot of damage either. They definitely do a pretty significant sum of damage in their total. The question is, does the blue team get T3 units on the side of the red before they've outscaled them? Nuclear launcher is up and running, by the way. Do we have any nuclear missile or anti-nuclear missiles for the blue team? We have most of the bases covered. A couple of them are exposed, though. This nuke could definitely find some targets. Big old scouting wave right there. That's exactly what that is. Trying to see if there's any possibility of sending a nuke across the map right here. This is what the red team sees. Pardon me. Having the hardest time selecting these. There we go. This is what the red team sees. Okay. Nice laser fish right there. The swarm of phoenixes ready to glass the planet. Oh, never mind. Thought twice about it. Bah. Oh my goodness. Watching the phoenixes just carve apart these bases with their rays of heat coming down from the sky. Truly beautiful. Another one. Oh my goodness, they are so good. Oh. No blast. No heat rays available anymore. Alright. The next plan. Oh, these were coming in for a landing. Oh my goodness. Alright, well there goes 6 nuclear bombers right down the drain. Unfortunate right there. Astraeus is continuing to march forward at this point. Shiva being used as glorified scouting units. We did have the Sol Invictus going down over here as well. Yeah, these units are running out of space though. Sol Invictus of the red team zone coming out to the front lines now. Dual heavy heat rays mounted on each of its shoulders. It's got those Gauss launchers as well. What are they called? Ultra heavy riot autocannons.
Battle paused.
Firing a splendid
Battle started.
AoE impulse out into the battlefield. Shoulder-mounted heat ray weapons, quite devastating to a lot of the spam here, though. Strayus being targeted by the nuclear bombers. That's a great use case for those nukes. Trying to take out those very relatively squishy long-range cluster plasma siege weapons. We got the LRPCs going up against the Astraeus. What a battle for the ages. Yeah, that's definitely a battle for the ages right there. Oh my goodness. We've got Sol Invictus rolling out per second here. So we got about a Sol Invictus every 2 minutes or so. Ultra heavy experimental thermal ordnance mech. It's two little spotlights out into the distance. If it's nighttime and suddenly you start to glow and you hear stomping in the distance, just remember the Sol Invictus is a thing that exists. Is it hurting itself with its laser beam? I think it is, isn't it? There's no way these goblins are doing that much damage. It must be hitting itself with its thermal projector. Hopefully that's not the case, but I feel like it might be. Now it's starting to take some serious damage. Pretty good. Sol Invictus. Another one of those units that Legion absolutely cooked on. Legion Architects. Very stylistic. Ooh, Antinuke just lasered down. Oh no. Antinuke has been targeted by the blue, or for the blue commander. The tank commander managing to snipe it down with the first Sol Invictus as the second one rampages back into the base. Tachyon beam coming out of the bulwark, the only thing doing any real damage to this thing. The Bastion trying its best, but there just isn't enough. This is a classic case, ladies and gentlemen, of growing content. The blue team with a massive advantage out on the map. Not managing to turn that advantage into a backline win condition. It's close. Boom goes the Sol Invictus, but taking down alongside it goes the blue base. Or at the very least, the very forward part of the blue base right there, as tons and tons of eco does fall. And my goodness, this entire northern side, I just realized this is completely vacant. The red team needs only send a handful of skirmisher units in that direction in order to make short work of that. But here we go. The mass spam lab has been concocted. We've got loads of T2 labs up and running right here. I don't think there's even enough build power to build out of these. You could probably build out of a third of these laboratories with the amount of build power it is. It just takes a stupid amount of build power to build those aircraft. Luckily, it looks like anti-nukes did eventually come up and running. Johnny Farbo gets the dig out of one of those Sol Invictus, by the way. A huge play right there for the blue commander. Can walk away from it, too, as these guys... Their thermal nuclear reactor does not actually work the same way. It's not plasma-based. No containment fields that rupture or anything like that. It just fizzles out when it gets degunned. So unless it's intentionally overridden, it doesn't explode the same way, like, for instance, Juggernauts does. Pretty effective on the front line, though, is just a means to an end. All these tanks, and the Invictus just cooks them to death, melting the metal straight off of their chassis directly into slag on the floor for further refinement and reprocessing. Sometimes it's about the simple things in life, like watching these T3 Devastators tear apart this front line of T2 units like they were two hot knives carving through a thick sea of butter. At this point, the blue team is well outscaled. And these are the hardest games to come back from. Once you're in this position, there really isn't a lot you can do as far as eco-scaling goes to get back into the game. You have to find a strategic weak point here, but the red team really hasn't given one. The southern side, I would say, is probably the weakest, actually. We've got the Medusas, and we've got the shield here. Yeah, we've even got the Prometheus tanks. Excuse me, the Prometheus tanks. The other option, of course, is to start making res bots. You start making res bots and you start sending those to the other side of the field here. Man, these Soul Invictors are so good. They're so impossible to deal with if you don't have the very specific strategic units that you need. Oh my goodness. Glassing the planet right here as more and more of these Phoenixes carve their way across this front line. Heading towards the back, towards those Aphis. Boom go the Aphis, though, before the Phoenix can even get to them. A row of Phoenix. Oh yeah, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. I think this will be our game-winning shot right here. Whoa. Melting the base of the Purple Commander under 1,000 lumen of heat. Well, lumen's not really a measure of heat, but you get the idea. And so does the blue team. The red team manages to come back into this game, and I can't believe it. The blue team holding the overwhelming positional advantage for the entire game, but the red commander got away with murder, ecoing up like a madman. It was never harassed for it, never scouted, and never called the bluff. And it does mean that the red team ended up taking the win in this 42-minute long slog of a game back and forth between these two teams. Thanks a ton for watching. If you made it all the way into the depths of this video, I appreciate each and every single one of you, and I hope to see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Feel free to check out the Discord and subscribe, like all the good stuff, you know, and all the YouTubers like to talk about at the end of their videos. Have a good one, folks, and I'll see you at the next time. Peace out.